Many of us without religion recognize the importance of ideas like purpose and meaning. With those, as Viktor Frankl wrote, we can bear anyhow, and current science backs it up. Without those ideas, though, we are stuck in a deteriorating body, performing meaningless acts until the lights turn off forever. That's bleak. It's no wonder all societies manifest some form of spirituality. That way, believers were assured that their existence had a spark, a taste beyond the mundane. For us non-religious folk, though, there's been little help or hope in that area. Thinkers like Nietzsche, Sartre, and Camus, among others, try to argue their way into finding meaning. But reason alone is not enough to truly influence our human brains. Even if we wanted to, we can't simply flip a mind switch and start believing in whatever is more useful. We are guided more by unconscious drives than by rationality. And besides that, we have a primal necessity to experience awe, meaning, hope, a taste of transcendence. Doctrines that found ways to provide that persevered for centuries or even millennia. It's time we move beyond the cliché of completely dismissing religious ideas. And we must actually study and value their methods to spread ideas and address those human needs, and reverse engineer them for our agnostic or atheistic use. We can solve this by integrating the insights of philosophers, psychologists, scientists. Contemporary research is getting better at borrowing ideas from different fields. Harvard professor Dr. Arthur C. Brooks, for instance, breaks down the issue of purpose in a two-part question. Who created me, and for what reason? We'll focus on the who part of the question for now. Few agnostic or atheists have explored this idea, but it is a crucial one. Purpose and meaning cannot emerge from a sense that nothing matters. Why care at all if everything is just ordinary, mechanical randomness? We'll also follow the ideas of Antonio Damasio and Jonathan Haidt. We must find an emotionally satisfactory origin. Actually work with our irrational side and find a story that is reasonable but still can move us. Supernatural explanations are out, of course, but we won't need them. Natural laws are astounding enough. But remember, we cannot argue our way into meaning. To teach our unconscious minds, we will need to express scientific truths with impactful language and images. So, let's get to it. We'll start by going way back in time, before life, stars, or even atoms existed. Imagine the beginning of the universe as we currently understand it. Let's rewind existence to a single, hot, dense, infinitesimal fraction of space. And there we are, almost 14 billion years ago, in the early moments after the Big Bang. A subtle imbalance between matter and antimatter, which is still unexplained, enabled the expansion of that unimaginably hot and dense state. Temperatures gradually dropped and allowed the formation of fundamental particles. And from that, over millions and millions of years, stars, galaxies, and planets formed. The unfolding of that initial expansion became everything we know, from supernovas exploding to your pupils right now adjusting to the screen, to the waves in the air carrying zeros and ones. All of it governed by the same fundamental laws. In understanding that process, we find ourselves in the unlikely position of being alive, in an universe that started as galaxies and space rocks slowly cooling in the infinite vacuum. Life somehow emerged. Not only that, but life persisted for 4 billion years in spite of the cold void surrounding us and countless extinction events. And we specifically, right now, are the result of innumerable coincidences. Thousands of faceless ancestors, through mutations and adaptations, surviving, meeting, and mating. Millions of ancestors if we count the species that preceded us. Until one egg welcomed one specific sperm cell and formed the embryo that became you. You who are awake, feeling sensations, thinking about information carried by ones and zeros through waves in the air. Whew. That's quite the journey, from an incomprehensible dense singularity, as it were, to socks and cats and coffee and memes. But the story of our creation highlights how puzzling the emergence of life and consciousness are. There's still no satisfying explanation by philosophers or scientists. Indeed, these three elements still challenge our comprehension. How exactly did the universe begin? What exactly is life? And how did consciousness emerge? And so, across eternity, we inherited this unique opportunity to witness existence, from the mute explosions of stars to the softness of a lover's whisper, as a conscious ripple, inseparable from the unfolding of the cosmos. And how could we ever need anything more from a creation story? We just needed to word what we know in a different way. Again, religions, even primitive ones, found out how to communicate with the unconscious. Basically, images and repetition, using symbols, rituals, and prayer. That's how their followers could feel their ties to something that transcended ordinary reality. And so for us, agnostics or atheists, each small part of the universe can be a memento of our amazing origin, because everything came from the same place. That's our trigger for repetition, our secular prayer, as it were. And even when grounded in science, the immensity of our origin still escapes our full understanding. That's our striking imagery, the Big Bang, nebulae, the first organic molecule, neurons firing to form a thought, and so on. In that way, we can recognize how just being here is special. No matter what happens, the mere fact that you are breathing in a planet that still exists is way beyond ordinary. That is the foundation from which purpose can begin to emerge. Purpose doesn't have to descend from the heavens. It can emerge from stardust and synapses, from wonder and will. And that concludes the Who Created Me part of Brooks' quest. We are set then to continue the quest and solve the for what reason part. What follows after accepting a creation story? What follows after accepting a creation story, even a cosmic scientific version, is figuring out the rules we are expected to follow and how well we are doing it. In short, sacrifice and judgment. Loaded words, I know, but they can apply to non-believers as well and actually contribute to a better life. So follow along, subscribe, ring the bell, so we can continue exploring how to use those concepts without dogma to find meaning and purpose.